And what we are going to cover in this session is project management mainly. I'm going to be covering how to create a new team project on T Foundation Server 2013, either just doing it offline or on premises. We will cover also what kind of templates we can choose when we cover a project and how we can modify these templates. Because when you are starting a new project, basically you have different processes to follow depending on the methodology the company is using to follow a project management. And we've been covering like one or two of these methodologies because each one has different work item types, they have different processes to follow, and they are represented on different ways on TFS. And also regarding to project management, I will show you how to manage different projects, like through a different, like a catalog of projects that you can have, a portfolio of projects, and how you can assign different permissions, how you can assign teams, and create different areas of development when you are working with a Team Foundation project. The main tool I want to show you that you probably know is this tool that comes with the Team Foundation Server 2013 and also with the previous version of Team Foundation Server. That is the Team Foundation Server Administration Console. This is only available in this case in the same server where you have the TFS server installed. And from here you can configure multiple options of the server. So basically you can configure the application tier and the data tier. The application tier basically has everything related with the management of the projects and the collections and the permissions of the Team Foundation server projects. And the data tier is, in this case, managing the databases that are hosting all this information. Like, for example, the configuration of TFS, the permissions, the work items, the projects, the reports, the analysis, everything. So when you go to the application tier, you can see in a glance, for example, here who is the administrator of this TFS. In this case, I'm using administrator as a service account. You can see, for example, that I have set up a website. This website that can be, for example, this one. That is the name of my machine, like it's a Visual Studio ALM. And the port is 8080 by default. So you will be able to access to it from any computer /TFS. So when you access there, you will access to the main portal for the TFS. This is the application tier, so basically it's showing us the information that is shared through the website, the information about the users, and the information about how to access to a TFS from Visual Studio or other Office products. Even you have here the email alert settings. For example, every time that you want to send an alert that someone is completing a work item, is going to use an email address to send these items out. So this is, for example, the email address I'm going to use, and the SMTP server that I have configured or set up on my Active Directory. But when you go to the data tier, here you will have the SQL server. Depending on the version of Team Foundation server, the data tier will be different because you can have SQL Server 28 or 2014 or 2012. Depending on the version of TFS, you will have different choices for the software requirements. And in the data tier, what you will have basically is what is going to be the instance of your SQL Server that will host the main databases for your projects and collections. Also, on the top of that, when you are setting up TFS, you will have one option on the ALM suite, that is the reporting. So you will not get any kind of report on your TFS if you don't have set up, for example, two services, that is the analysis services on SQL Server and the reporting services on SQL Server. So by default, the main basic installation is just only install SQL Server 2012 in this case, and have an Internet Information Server on the same server you're going to install the TFS. And with this both is the minimum requirements to install TFS. We will cover this later more in deep, but right now we are going to move to the next level of the TFS. By the way, when you are using the Team Foundation Server Online or Visual Studio Online, you don't have this flexibility of choose in which SQL server is going to be or what kind of IIS is going to have. In this case, you go to Visual Studio Online, you use your account to create the collection, and that's all. You don't have to do anything on the IT infrastructure because this is purely managed by Microsoft on Microsoft Azure. So why I'm in this console is important to know, because from here I can start creating my collections, and the collections are the main point to cover when you want to create a new project on TFS. So basically the collection can host multiple team projects. Each team project can have different template. One can be a team project based on Scrum, the other one can be a team project based on CMMI, or a team project based on Agile, or a different custom team projects. But in this case, all of them are grouped inside collections. And why we usually differentiate this into different collections? Because mainly if we want to separate, for example, between teams, for example, one collection only for my .NET projects, or other collection only for Java projects. This is one way to separate those. Other thing that you can do with different collections is that some collections can have SharePoint integrated and reporting integrated, and the other ones maybe you don't need them. So for example, in my default collection here, as you can see, I have a one team project right now. If you open the Fabricam Fiber collection, I have also one team project, and if I open this other one, I have one team project. So I have one project on each. But if I go, for example, to the default collection, I can see that this one has also configured a SharePoint site, and also has configured a reports folder. You can have another new collection without integration with SharePoint or without integration with reporting. Sometimes in majority of the projects, many companies they don't want to have a reporting integration, or they don't want to integrate this with SharePoint because there is no need for that. SharePoint is a very good option when you want, for example, to have an central site where everyone in the team can access not only to the source code, but also, for example, to all the reports, to the calendar, to the wiki, to all the documentation related with this project. And also they have other collaborative tools based on the SharePoint web parts. So sometimes SharePoint is not mandatory for a project. Even on my experience, few companies are using the SharePoint site that you can include with TFS. But the reporting is different. So you can have all the reports, for example, just installing reporting services and setting up reporting services for this specific collection. And with that, you can get like 25 different reports directly from the reporting services. But you don't need SharePoint. SharePoint is optional. Both of them are optional. You can put them together or only one of each, or just none of them. This will be the main choice for you. So when you are setting up Team Foundation server, you can choose to have SharePoint or reporting or both of them at the same time for a specific collection. But as I repeat, it's not mandatory. Usually by default you will have general status and team projects on this specific collection, and that's all. SharePoint will not be installed or configured, and reporting will not be configured. Just before I finish with the team and server administration console, just for you to know, in any moment when you want to change where this main SharePoint portal is going to be hosted for your team collections, just from here, from this console, you can change directly from one application to the other web application on the SharePoint server, just to maintain a separation between the projects that they already have in the SharePoint server with the TFS projects, or their own websites with the Team Foundation server website. So they are called web applications, and you can create new ones here, and also manage who can just access to these web applications from your users. The reporting can be configured here. By default, these green items will be red. You just have to click here on edit and specify where is your SQL Server analysis services, and where is your SQL Server reporting services. So basically this is what you have to fill it up here in these two tabs, and the databases that you will use by default, that are the TFS warehouse and the TFS analysis. It's a very straightforward setup. In the end, the setup is like not more than 10 to 15 minutes maximum just to get set up this. The lab management, this is used in few companies, because in the end this is used for the last part of the ALM of software development lifecycle, is the release management. So in some company, almost all the companies are doing a manual release management. Some of them, they want to have like a tool called Release Manager that comes now with Team Foundation server, and it is gonna be free starting on the 1st of January of the next year. And in this case, sometimes they want to have a lab management. Lab management is that you can have set up multiple virtual machine environments where you can test your applications, like one virtual machine with Windows Server 28, one virtual machine with Windows XP, another one with Windows Vista, and you can deploy the application in the three of them at the same time and run your test cases directly on these different virtual environments just to get the results from all of them. So basically you have two setups. That one is using a System Center Virtual Machine Manager, and the other one is like using your own virtual machines on your standard environment. So this is basically what you can configure in the application tier. The proxy server, in case you have, for example, your office split in multiple locations. So instead accessing all the people from your team from a very far location to your server, what you can do is you can set up a proxy on that specific office, just accelerating and speeding up all the requests to the Team Foundation server to the source code management. So you just install a proxy server on the remote machine, and this proxy server will be synchronized directly with your server all the time. And the last thing I want to show you here is the schedule backups. Many companies will tell you that they already have their own backup system for databases. But if you want to create like a schedule backup from here, automatically it's going to generate a backup for three main things. One is the configuration of the TFS. This is one of the databases that is very important, the TFS configuration database. The other one is the database for the collections and the projects. And the other one is, so one is configuration, the other one is the projects, and the other one is for the, let me remind, for the permissions and everything related, no. So I forgot the other one, but I can tell you very soon. So there are some databases that are optional, but they will be included as well. One is the SharePoint database, for example, is optional. The reporting service is optional. The analysis is optional as well, but it will be configured automatically for you in the scheduled backups. And with this, you can generate your backup plans, like maybe one full backup a week, and every day have like a delta backups or incremental backups, or even log backups, transactional backups. So this is everything you will have here on the Team Foundation Server Administration Console. The most important part of this is that every collection and every project that you set up here is going to be accessible through a website called the Team Foundation Web Access. So for example, when I go to my project collections, all these that you see here, all these ones have a different URL. So I have here one collection, one collection, one collection. So every time you create a collection, it's going to generate a URL or a website for this specific collection. And this website is called the Team Web Access. Team Web Access was really useless on TFS 2010, but 2012 and 2013 is the main tool that everyone is going to use in the team. So let me just open the Internet Explorer and show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to just show you first the main Team Foundation server portal. So this is the main portal. I'm not accessing to any of the collections I have right now. I'm just accessing, as you can see, to my machine. Colon 8080/TFS. This is the main portal I have for my Team Foundation server. 2013 or 2012 is gonna have the same experience. And here I have all the projects and my teams and the rooms. The rooms is a new concept introduced in 2013. Basically, it's a place where everyone in the team can chat each other. So they can drop the messages there. They can have like a real-time experiences of what's going on with the project. Even every time you are checking in into the server, you can see in the chat room that someone is checking in a specific chainset and the number of the chainset there. It's a very cool experience. So I have my room experience, as you can see here. Let me show you. As you can see, for example, even you can just name people from the team and interact with them. I can see here, for example, the different chainsets. I have one product backlog item that is assigned to someone. So you can see everything. It's like a log of what is going on inside one of the projects for this collection. If I go back to the overview here, you can see the list of projects. Let me just access to one of these projects. I'm going to access, for example, to Fabric and Fiber. So how to create a collection? Always from here, from the team project collections on the TFS administration console. How you can create a new project? In this case, you have to make it from a different place. I'm gonna show you later. So this is just the look and feel of my web access. I'm gonna be explaining all of this from the point of view of a project manager and what you can do on the management for this project. So the first thing you can see in this project right now is that they have some pinned items. So you can customize this experience and have here like different tiles with live information inside. But the main three experiences you will have will be the work that is going to be where your dashboard is going to be, like all the project specifications, like the features, the work items, everything. The other one is going to be the build, where you can check, for example, all the automated builds that you have set up for your server, and the test experience that has a reduced experience of what you can find on MTM. You have one more that is code, but I usually recommend developers to access to the code directly from Visual Studio, because in the end this is the source control version manager. So other thing you can do from the web access is that you have here access to all the members in the team. So the first thing you have to do once you enter in a project is go to the members and manage how many members you want to include here. So basically you can include groups of users. So my advice is just to have, for example, create your own groups and put everyone inside this group. In this case will be users from the Active Directory that you have in that domain. And once you have a group or the users included there, you will see them all here. For example, one thing that you have on Team Foundation Server Online or Visual Studio Online is that by default you have a maximum of 5 members for your team. This is the free access that you have to Visual Studio Online. If you want to have more than 5 members, you have to pay a subscription per member. Okay, this is the Visual Studio Online experience. Here, you don't have to pay for that, but you need a call just to have these members using this. You have different kind of membership. You have like a contributor membership, and also you have one more called stakeholder. Stakeholder is for the customer or the client. If you want to give them access to see what's going on with the project, they can access to this portal and access to some specific parts of the project, like maybe mainly the backlog and the task board. And in every time they can check, for example, how these tasks are going on, which ones are completed. They can check the burn down chart and everything from there. We will cover this later on. So more things that you have to do once you are starting a project. The first thing after the members configuration is to configure the schedule and iterations. So here you will have how many iterations you are going to have, okay, and how they are scheduled. So for example, there are two kinds of planifications. You can plan, for example, when the release is going to be, like the release schedule, release 1, release 2, release 3, release 4, and inside every release you will have different iterations. Iterations that can be, for example, weekly, like one iteration per week, one iteration every 2 weeks or every 4 weeks. Usually when you use Agile or Scrum methodologies, you put a maximum of 4 weeks per iteration. Okay, because this is the kind of framework that Agile is meant to. So you will specify the iterations here. You can add more iterations, and this is important because this is going to help you to set up the backlog of your product. So once you have the members, once you have the schedule of the projects and the iterations, you have to configure the work areas. The work areas is how you are going to divide the work into different members of your team. For example, not everyone in the team has to access to all the work items, because in a project you can have maybe 200 different work items. You can have multiple user stories, you can have multiple bugs, and all these can be related to different parts of the project. One, for example, for database and architecture, the other one for the device team, the other one for the web team. So a virtual way to separate these teams and to filter which work items they will be able to see and access all the time is just creating different areas. So from here you can create these areas in any time. Other tool I want to show you here is the request feedback. Request feedback is if in any moment you want to, for example, show to the stakeholder the status of the project and you want to get feedback from him, what you can do is here, you can choose the stakeholder, or you can just type the name manually. You can put here access to the web application, remote machine, or the application, whatever you have, just to show. And from here, you can just send feedback to this stakeholder. She or he will receive this email. Will I click here and you will see what's going on. And he will see on the screen a feedback tool, and it will open the application on the right side of the screen, and the stakeholder will be able to send you feedback about the project status, and you will receive an email back to you, and it will generate automatically a new item on your backlog just to take in consideration. So this is a very cool tool that is included with the web access as well. So let me start as a product manager or product manager from the beginning. So here first, how you can manage inside your project different teams. When you click on the top of the screen, from here, when I click on Fabric and Fiverr, you can access to the portfolio of projects you have. If I click on Browse them all, you can see in this server how many collections I have, how many projects I have, and also which teams are available for each project. So for example, in the Fabric and Fiverr, I want to access to the Fabric and Fiverr web team. And when I navigate there, you can see that the main screen changed. The first thing I see when I enter here is that I have right now the iteration where my team is working. So they are working on the iteration number 3. They have 19 hours of 24 still allocated to finish this sprint. And what you have on the right side is the burn down. The burn down is how much time they have left until they finish all the tasks that they have on the board. So let's access to this information. I want just to access to the backlog. And when you access to the backlog, you have two things. The first thing is the product backlog, okay, where you have mainly all the features or all the requirements for a project. At this level, depending on the methodology that you're using, you will have different kind of work item types. In this case, as you can see, I have bag and product backlog items, so I am using Scrum as a main methodology for this software development. And the other thing you have is that each of these product backlog items can be dragged inside different iterations. So if I go to the iteration number 3, I can see that I have here one product backlog item that this customer can find the nearest Fabric and Fiverr location, and the other one is a bag that is represented with a red color that says the customer with Canadian addresses not displaying properly. So let me go back to the backlog items. So this is my product backlog, and this is the main part of my management work. So this is the product backlog. Every time I want to add something to the product backlog, I just go here to the title. I add, for example, like so location of customers per ticket. Okay, imagine that imagine that I want to add this feature to the project. So I want to add this as a product backlog item, and now it's there. So either if you are using the online experience or you're using the on-premises experience, you will have exactly the same experience that I show into you on the screen right now. There is no distinction on that. Okay, there will be some limitations, but I will show you later on, but not here. In the product backlog will be the same experience in both of them. So when I open, for example, this product backlog item, what you can see here is right now this is the name of the product backlog item. This is going to be assigned to, let's assign to, for example, to Brian Keller, and the effort is going to be how big this task is going to be. So usually for 1 to 100, I put here how big is going to be this task, maybe 20, for example. This is going to help the project management to calculate the estimation of work that is going to involve the team on finishing this task. The description of the user story of the product backlog item will be here. So this is basically what it's going to be about, what you are expecting to have when you finish this specific product backlog item. And the acceptance criteria is going to indicate that everyone in the team has to agree when this product backlog item is gonna be done. So the developers here, the dev team, will say this is gonna be done when blah 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 blah. The testers will say this for me is gonna be done when blah 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 blah. And here you put everything, even the stakeholder will specify here for them when this product backlog item is gonna be done. This sometimes is called the user acceptance testing. Okay, the user acceptance testing. And so everyone in the team, the designers, the testers, everyone has to write here the acceptance criteria. So, and when you finish this product backlog item, you will review as a product manager or project manager that all these items in the acceptance criteria are done. And if they are done, it means that this product backlog item is done, is finished, and is an increment that you can deliver to the customer. Okay, so from here you will see, for example, the storyboards. Storyboards are like sketches or prototypes of what you are expecting to have on your screen when you finish this. When you create a new storyboard, this is going to open PowerPoint, and in PowerPoint you have some items like a draft items that you can sketch your screen easily from there, and this will be saved and available for everyone that has access to this product backlog item. One thing here that is very important for you to know: when you create these storyboards, as they are documents, it's a PowerPoint document, has to be accessible from for everyone. The way to host this document for this project is through SharePoint. So you cannot have, for example, storyboards if you don't have SharePoint. So what you do is you set up a SharePoint. In the SharePoint you have your library of documents, and there you will host all these documents that are going to be related with this product backlog item. So this is one of the things that why you maybe should have SharePoint with a setup for this collection. The test cases is when you are creating a new feature or a new product backlog item, use draft a test plan, and this test plan is different. You can have a test plan for example, unit testing. You can have a test plan for smoke testing. You can have a draft another plan, for example, for test automation. So you can have different test plans, and each test plan will have different test cases that you have to run on the code that you have here. So all the test cases related with this product backlog item will be listed here in this list. And tasks are mainly the other work items that are not test cases that are going to be linked to this product backlog item. So when I talk about product backlog item, it's basically the angular stone or the main element of your features for your project. And from this product backlog item, everything will be linked to it. So when you have like a full tracking experience of what's going on with your project, the product backlog item will be the main player there. Product backlog item is called with Scrum methodology. If you have, for example, Agile is going to be called user story. And if you have, for example, CMMI is going to be called a feature or requirement. So it changed, the name changed depending on the kind of methodology you are using here. Okay, so let me just save this and close. And once I'm saving this, you can see here I have the effort 20. This is the iteration path. This is assigned to the release 2, but it's not assigned to any iteration I have right now. So I can drag and drop this to the iteration 3. And now it's there, already belongs to iteration 3. One thing that you can do is you can check, for example, in any moment what's going on with your project. This is called the cumulative flow. The cumulative flow is I have a list of features, in this case product backlog items and bugs, and I want to check if they are done, if they are in progress, if they are committed but still they are working on it, or just they are new. How can I check this information? This is called the board. Board is something that was adopted from the Kanban boards on the Kanban methodology, and this is a way to work with like a kind of it's a process table that helps you to understand and to track every single task in a diagram like this. So you have, for example, the new product backlog items on the left side, on the new. I have here another column for approved. It means that as a project manager, if I want to approve, for example, this one, I move it to approve, and it means that everyone in the team can start working with this because it's already approved. Once the team wants to start working on this for the iteration number 3, for example, we have a meeting plan. And in this meeting plan, what we do is together we commit that this is going to be committed for this specific iteration. So the team will start working on this. And once this is done, it will move to done, and the cumulative flow will be different. So this is going to help you to track what's going on in every iteration, which items or features you are expecting to deliver at the end of this iteration, and it's gonna help you to track the velocity of the team. The velocity of the team is how fast your team is delivering in every iteration. So this is the other chart I have here, integrated with this web access. As you can see, you have iteration number 1, that is 35 story points delivered on the iteration number 1. In the iteration number 2, my team was faster because they've been warming up on iteration 1. The iteration 2, they are already hands-on the code, so they are very fast delivering. And iteration number 3, right now they are delivering 20 story points, but still they are not done. So that's why it's a blue color here. So this is going to help the project manager, for example, to do the forecast. The forecast is another tool that you can just set up from here. It's going to specify when your team is expecting to deliver the different product backlog items or different features, depending on the velocity that your team right now is managing. So your team has a velocity of 10 story points per iteration. Even you can modify this manually and say, for example, 20. And this is going to help you to schedule and see when it's going to be delivering all these product backlog items. So this is a forecasting tool. You have also the mapping. The mapping, you have a more abstract level in TFS that is called features. So inside one feature, you can have like multiple product backlog items. But usually this is not used on the projects. On Agile, they usually use like normally product backlog items and bugs, and that's all. The other thing you can see here, for example, is backlog item to tasks. So you can see in this list all the product backlog items and all the tasks related with them. So I go back again. When you are starting a project, the first thing you have to do with your team as a product manager is to create a list of all the features or requirements for your project. Once this is specified here in this backlog list, the next thing is to start creating the iterations. And for every iteration, you have to drag and drop this item inside these iterations. For example, if I go to the iteration number 3, I have here one thing called a sprint backlog or iteration backlog. And here I have only those product backlog items that I'm committed to deliver during this week, for example. So I can see that this specific iteration number 3, comes from the 1st July to the 12th of July. So it's almost 2 weeks iteration. And during these 2 weeks, my team is committed to deliver 3 product backlog items or 3 user stories. Each product backlog item has to be cascaded or break down into small tasks. Here is where the project manager and the team has to agree on how much time it's going to take to deliver each specific task. So right now I have, for example, here 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 tasks. This is the remaining hours for each task, the remaining work. On the right side, I can see in any time how overloaded my team is and how many hours left they have to finish these tasks. On the top side of the screen, I can see the burn down. As you can see, all these charts are together right now on the web access, when in Team Foundation Server 2010, wasn't like this. In 2010, the only way to get all these reports is through the reporting service or directly through the Excel workbooks. But there is no way to see all these built in the same experience on the web access. This comes with TFS 2012 and 2013. And here in this specific burn down for the iteration number 3, I have the number of hours remaining. I see that I'm going to finish this specific iteration on the 12th of July. And right now the trending is that I'm not gonna be available to finish on time because I have extra work here you can see this peak here. I have extra work that came to my iteration in the middle of the iteration, and maybe I'm not gonna be able to deliver on time. So as you can see, I have, for example, here this new product backlog item. Imagine that this is something that came on the middle of the iteration because the CEO of the company say, I need this feature by the end of next week, and you have to make it. So here, imagine that you have a new product backlog item. I want to create a new task for that. So my task is going to be display map location for each ticket. I'm gonna be assigning this to Brian Keller. The remaining work is gonna be around 20 hours. And this is everything you need to do when you are creating new tasks. Okay, nothing else. Save and close. And when you do that, what you see is that right now the capacity of my team went down. So I can see that Brian Keller is overloaded 21 hours over 12. I can see, for example, that the whole team is going to fail this iteration, and even the bar down chart changed. I have a huge peak here that I need to fix. So how can I modify this, or how can I solve this problem? First, I need to review the capacity of my team. So the capacity is managed from here. I have, for example, that Brian Keller is only working 3 hours a day. It doesn't mean that he only works 3 hours. It means that maybe he's working at the same time on several projects, and he can only allocate 3 hours for this specific project during this iteration. So what I can do is the Brian Keller can modify this, for example, to 8, and as you can see automatically on the right side of the screen is just fixing up all the problems I had with the locating this time. But let's keep it on 3. Even here on the days off, I can assign that Brian Keller is going to be on vacations for 2 days or 3 days, for example, and this automatically will refresh all the data on the screen. So one thing that I can do, because I see, for example, that this is not gonna happen. I'm not gonna be able to deliver all this in time. So what I can do is I can move, for example, this back to the next iteration, to the iteration number 4. And still I see that I have a lot of work unassigned. I can move, for example, this one to the next iteration, and now something is fixed. The team is able to deliver, but Brian Keller has to work much time than the time allocated for him. So you can play with these things, just trying to fix the how the work of your team is going to be delivered. Okay, let me fix this very fast. What I'm going to do is I want to say that, for example, this is not going to be 20, it's going to be, for example, 10. Okay. And I'm going to move the bug to the next iteration because it's not a high priority bug, it's a low priority bug. And right now my team, I'm sure that can deliver. It's a bit tight, 24 over 24 hours remaining, but they can deliver on time. So now that once that this is done, so what my team has to do every day. So if I am a developer, a tester, or a part of the development team, what I do is I can access to this website anytime. And I can go to this specific iteration and I can go to my dashboard. In the dashboard, I can see here all the tasks that I have assigned, or either per product backlog item or feature, or by person. Let me just group by people. And I can see here which tasks I have assigned to different people in my team. So if I am Brian Keller, I can come in the morning and I can say, okay, I'm gonna work today on this specific item. And I can move it from the to-do to in progress. And now that I'm working on this, I just open my Visual Studio, I'm working on this specific item, and once I finish my day, I can come here and update this number. So right now there is no 10 hours left to finish this specific task. I have, for example, 5 hours left. And this automatically is reporting into the burn down for this iteration. And if at the end of the week this task is done, what I do is I move this to done. Okay, as you can see, the burn down chart is moving just a bit better. And now my project manager can see how my team is completing all these tasks during the process of this iteration. So basically this is the way to work. How this works, for example, in a Visual Studio. Let me open Visual Studio and show you, because everything is totally related. So what I just showed you here is pure project management. Okay, I have my product backlog. I can check from here in which items my team is working. I can see the velocity of my team. I can see the cumulative flow, and even I can say that, for example, some items are approved and some items are totally done. And I can check in any time what's going on with the full scope of the project. And I can check in every iteration how my team is progressing in terms of how they are completing the different product backlog items, how they are completing the tasks, and I can check the capacity of the team and maintain a healthy way of work with this team. And everything is also accessible through other tools, not only from the web access, from Visual Studio or others. So if I open Visual Studio, right now I am working with the Fabric and Fiber project. And when I go here, I can see, for example, let me show you first how to access to the different projects. I go to the Team Explorer, and here I can just access to projects and my teams. And here I can access to the Fabric and Fiber or to the different teams inside Fabric and Fiber project. If I connect to the different team projects from here, I can see that they have 3 collections. One second. Okay, sorry. I have 3 collections, and in every collection I will have different projects. So what I want to do is I want to open this specific team, the Fabric and Fiber web team, and from here I can access to my work, I can access to the work items, and I can access to many other things. So if I go to my work, depending on the user that I'm using right now, for example, right now I am Julia, and Julia doesn't have any specific work item assigned to her. Otherwise, I will see here the available work items for myself. Okay, for example, if I go here to open query, I can get, for example, here work items from everyone. But I just want to show you a real case. Let me just close this. So we have here my available work items. And what I have to do is drag and drop to in progress, and it's the same thing that I'm doing, for example, here when I go to the dashboard. Every time I move one new item from to do to in progress, it's like if I go here to Visual Studio Team Explorer and I move literally an available work item to in progress work. This is just for pure project management tracking. So let me go back here. Other thing that I can do is I can access to all the work items. So for example, for this iteration in my team, I have one bug that is already in my iteration backlog. It's the same bug that I showed you before. And I have 4 product backlog items. I can just double click there and I can see that I have, for example, the 3 product backlog items that I showed you before. So if I go here, you can see them all. I can have 1, 2, and also iteration, the other product backlog item. And each of these product backlog items will have a list of different tasks, each one. I can see that some of them are new, approved, the effort of each one, and I see in which iterations they are. I can create also my own queries. If you go down this list to the queries list, I can see, for example, here, let me show you, for the current sprint, what is my sprint backlog. And I can see here, okay, show location of customers per ticket, technicians can see the service ticket, and the other one. So I can see everything for my team. I can see, for example, all the test cases I have. I don't have any right now. I can see, for example, the list for, the product backlog for my web team. Okay, this is the product backlog for my web team, or the general product backlog. So depending on the user that is accessing to this Team Explorer, we'll have permissions to access to the full list of the product backlog or only few of them. But you can create your own query from here. You can create a new query, and what you can do is here specify what you want to get. For example, the work item type, I want to get all the tasks. So if I run this query, I will get the list of all the tasks that they have in this project, independently of which product backlog item they belong. Okay, you can use this kind of list. You can, for example, use work items and direct links. Direct links is I want to get, for example, all the tasks that are linked with product backlog items. Okay, and you can just run this and get the list here, as you can see. So all the tasks and product backlog items related. Usually it's opposite. You put here the product backlog item. Let me show you. And in the list you will get, for example, all the tasks. It's like grouping by. It's like grouping by different product backlog items. As you can see right now, I have this product backlog item with different tasks. So it's very flexible. You can create your own custom queries, and once the query is here, you can save the query only for you, or you can save the query for the whole team, like shared queries. Let me just jump over to the team portal to show you one thing here. When you go to the work tab and you have here the product backlog and the iteration backlog, you have also queries. Okay, it's the same queries that I showed you before on the Visual Studio. And here the same, you can create your own queries. Okay, you can check your queries, you can set the shared queries. And even from here, let me for example create a new query. I want to get all the tasks for this project. Okay, I want to just run this. I want to save the query, and this query, no, I want to save it in this case not in my queries but in my team queries, in shared queries. I want to call it like tasks list. And here you are. When you go to the shared queries, you have your task list at the bottom, and this task list, when you click here, you can pin them to the home page. And when you go to the home page, you can see here task list. I have 58 work items. So this is so cool, huh? So if you go here, for example, other thing that you can do is that let me show you. You can create a new chart. So just go here to the task list, go to charts, and I'm gonna create a new chart. This chart that I'm going to create is gonna be like the list of all the tasks grouped by assigned to. So I can see how many tasks each member of my team is going to have. So this is the kind of chart I can get multiple charts from here. You can play with that. It's very fancy. And let me just save it. And now they have this chart, I can just pin it to the home page as well. I can create a new chart, and in this case I'm gonna be grouping by this in a stack bar. So this is gonna be work item type, and this is gonna be assigned to, or state. State is more fancy. And assigned to, yeah, here. So I want to have all the tasks that I have on this specific iteration. Oh, sorry, my project. Grouped by different members of my team, assigned to. And in every column I want to have the state of each. So I just click on OK, and I'm gonna pin this to the home page again, and I go back to the home page, and I have these two charts here. Okay, the task list chart and the other one. So this is just the way to manage for every iteration your dashboard. So the project manager can do this anytime, and everyone in the team will be able to see the different changes on the dashboard daily. Other thing you can check from this dashboard is, for example, the build automation. So here I have, just let me see. Okay, I have some build definitions. Build definitions basically is when the development team is coding, creating a new product, usually they are just compiling this product to see if it's compiling good, and once they compile and see that everything is working fine, they check in all the changes into the server, and once it's in the server, everyone in the team will be able to download these new changes. So what some things they usually do, depending on the level of maturity they have, is to automate these builds. So for example, this is a nightly build. It means that every day at night there is a build agent set up in the TFS server that is building or compiling the source code and generating a build. If the build fails for any reason, it will display here that you have a problem in the build and someone broke the build. It means that someone is submitting or checking in code that is not compiling. Okay, so you will have an alert on that will be reporting to the manager in this case. So these nightly builds you can get in any time, like get this specific build and download it in your computer and just test it and whatever you want. This usually is used for testers to test some or run some test cases over different builds every day. From here you can just create your own build definitions, or either you can go to Visual Studio and you can create your own build definitions from here. Okay, so you go to builds. You will cover this in other sessions, but from here you can create your own build definition. So as you can see, the Team Explorer is showing you more or less whatever you have already on the web access. So you go to My Work, you can see your assigned current active work items. If you go to the build, you can see the builds that are set up for this specific project. You go to work items, you can access to every work item accessible from your user for the team or for this specific team. If you go, for example, to documents, okay, it will display for you the documents that are stored in the SharePoint server in this specific SharePoint application. So not, as I told you, not all the projects have the SharePoint integration, but for those that are integrated with SharePoint, they will access here to every document that is shared through the SharePoint portal to the other members of the team. So you can click here on Show Project Portal, and it will open, in this case, the SharePoint portal for this specific work project. When I talk about SharePoint portal, it's not the same SharePoint portal that you have here. This is the web access and is different than the SharePoint portal. Okay, it's totally different things. Just leave it there for a few minutes because it has to first initiate the SharePoint services and everything. And here you will be able to access to all the shared documents in your team. The other tab that you have here is the reports. Reports is accessing to the reporting server and is taking all the reports that are generated from the OLAP cube. So right now I can check, for example, here the reports from the builds, the test cases, the backlog overview, and even you can create custom reports and they will be so up here. If I go, for example, to the sprint bar down, just let me open it. In this case, as you can see, is opening the website of the reporting services assigned for this specific project. Just give it a couple of minutes. Sometimes these reports are not real time because in the end this is a database that is in the reporting server and is made by the analysis services that has an OLAP cube of information, and this has to be processed. Can be processed like every 8 hours or once a day or every 2 hours, or can be processed manually. So that's why sometimes when you are installing the TFS by the very first time and you are not getting out the reports from here, is because the OLAP cube is not being processed and you have to wait for that. But here you will access to all these reports. It's taking information from there. As you can see right now, it's opening the reporting server and displaying the reports for this specific iteration. More things that you can have from the Team Explorer. So you have, again, you have My Work, builds, documents, report, work items, and settings. Settings is everything related with this specific project, like security, which users can access to the different parts of the team project. Remember that you have different security levels. You have security at server level, collection level, project level, source code control level, folder level. So you have many different levels of permissions for your users. You have group memberships, because here also you can have contributors, you can have administrators, you can have readers. There are different kind of groups. When you open any of these options here, you will be redirected to the website. This is made on purpose by Microsoft because they want everyone in the team to access to these different options. For example, a project manager, probably project managers, they don't have installed Visual Studio and Team Explorer, so from the website they can make the same kind of changes. As you can see here, you can create your groups, you can create your teams, you can also assign different permissions and check the membership of these users. And when you go to the user list, you can see every member on the team and the permissions for these members. Okay, if you want to create a new area, you can do it as well from here. If you want to create a new iteration and just check, for example, the security of the collection, everything can be done from here. So other thing that you can do from the settings on the Team Explorer is, for example, modify the settings not only for the project but also for the collection. So for example, one thing that is very common is to modify the process template manager. Sorry, the template. So right now I have 3 templates by default on 2013. These are the templates you will have. the CMMI, Scrum, and Agile. And sometimes the customer is asking you to have some modifications, like, for example, I want to use Agile, but one of the internal processes we have is the change request process, because they are using a typical waterfall model. So this change request doesn't belong to Agile or Scrum, but they want to have it. They want to have, when you open a work item, they want to have a new field on the work item that specifies the name or the number of the change request. So for that, what you have to do is you have to download physically on your computer one of these templates. Open the template, add there a new work item type or a new field, and upload again this to the collection. So for the next projects that you will generate for this or inside this collection, you will be able to choose this new template. So this is a complete new world. That is how to modify and generate new processes inside this template. Okay, but can be done from here. Other thing that you can do at the project collection level is to establish the source control settings. This is, for example, when you are checking in or checking out your projects, when you're submitting files to the software control manager, here you're going to specify which files will be synchronized and which ones will be excluded. Okay, so for example, in the file types, there is one specific file type that is not in this list, and you want to automatically exclude these files when you are checking into the server. So you can establish this here. And the workspace settings, you have two choices, local and server. What this means is local, as you can read there, is allowing users to work locally on the projects even if the server is unavailable. So imagine that you are coding, you are creating a new application, you are coding on your own source code, okay? But right now imagine that the server is down. So if the server is down, you cannot access to the source control version, you cannot access to the source code files, and you have to wait until the server is up again to synchronize the changes, get the latest version, or check in, check out. But if you have a local configuration for this workspace, you can work locally, even if you are flying and you don't have internet connection or whatever. And once you have connection again, you can check in all the changes and you can get the latest version from the server. So this is by default the recommended version for that. So this is important to know that is here accessible from the Team Explorer. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I want to create a new project from the default collection. So first, what I have to do is I need to go to my default collection. And once I am here in the default collection, I'm going to create a new team project. As you remember here, if I go to my team project collections, I have the default collection here. This default collection right now is online, so it's working. And has set up SharePoint and reporting services. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new team project. The team project for this collection is going to be called, for example, Agile Monday. You will choose here the template. If you have already a custom template that you generated for a custom, because your customer is asking for a custom template, you will choose it from here. So I'm going to choose the MSF for Agile Software Development. I'm going to click on Next. Here it's going to ask you if you want to include the SharePoint accessibility for this project. So in this case, I don't want to create any SharePoint portal for that. So this specific project is not going to have SharePoint available. I click on Next. Now it's going to ask you for the version control system. By default, you will choose Team Foundation version control. Some customers, they have a Git already in use because they have like some random Java project, C++ project. You are using Git, and you want maybe to set up this on the Git server that they have. So this is possible, but right now we are going just to choose our own TFS version control that is included in the TFS server. I click on Next and I click on Finished. Reporting services will be available by default because the collection has reporting services by default. okay? But in this case, I'm not setting up the SharePoint port. So remember things that you are missing when you are not using SharePoint for a project. You are missing the Excel sheet. Well, in 2013, you are missing, for example, the libraries for sharing documentation. You are missing calendars. You are missing wikis. You are missing like the normal dashboards and the reports directly on the SharePoint portal. So you're missing these things, but it's not mandatory. It's also in so many cases, customer will never use SharePoint. Will use probably the reporting services, and that's all. In TFS 2010, it's very important to have SharePoint. Why? Because you can have access to all the reports through Excel sheets, and all these Excel sheets will be, or Excel workbooks will be generated automatically when you are setting up SharePoint for your TFS projects. Otherwise, the only solution for you will be just to install the reporting services. So right now it's creating the project. If you want to create this project, for example, with Visual Studio Online, will be exactly the same experience. You will access to your Team Explorer on Visual Studio. You will connect to the, not to the local server, but to the URL that is on the internet, so the remote server. And the same process, you will create the project from here. Okay, this is the easiest way to create a new project for the Team Foundation server. This is gonna take just 2 minutes. In the meantime, let me jump back to the website. So here I have, for example, as I told you before, the reports from the reporting services. I can then change between different iterations. I can go, for example, to iteration number 3. Sorry. You can create your own reports. You have the report builder tool that you can create your own report from there, and even you can play just directly with the cube yourself. If you want to know more about how this information is stored on SQL Server, what you need is that just access to the SQL Server management. I don't think I have it with this user. You access to the SQL Server Management Studio. Let me show you very fast. Okay, and from here you can check the analysis services to access to the OLAP cube, or you can access to database engine. If you access to database engine, what you will find inside is the databases that are generated from the TFS installation. So you go access to the databases here, and you can see, for example, TFS configuration is one, and one database per collection that you have, and a TFS warehouse in case you have the warehouse set up. Okay, so this is the most important information for you. So the configuration, the collections, and the warehouse. When you are, for example, migrating from the TFS 2010 to 2012 or 2013, usually what you do is that you detach one of these collections first from the data tier here. So you access to the administration console, you go to the project collections, and from here you can attach or detach these collections. Okay, so once you stop the service and you detach the collection, from here you get this database, you create a backup, you go to the other server, and you just put this database in the backups in the new database server, and from there you attach again these databases to the collections on the new server. So this is one kind of migration from the old server to the new server. Okay, so let me go back here. I'm gonna access again to my collection default, and I want to check the new project. So by now the project is already, oh, it's still creating. It's taking longer than expected. Probably there is some internal processes right now happening on the TFS. That's why it's a bit slow. It should take usually no more than 30 seconds to create a new project. From 30 seconds to 2 minutes, depending on the server. But just give it a couple of minutes more just to finish. Let me check if you can access from here. It looks like the server is busy now doing something. I don't know what it's doing right now. Let me check 1 second here. Okay, so this is cool. The reporting. Let me start just the jobs here. In the meantime, do you have any questions regarding to what we have been seeing here in the either the web access or the Team Explorer?
I'm good.
Good. Tell me, Steve.
Uh, Ed, I have one query related to the online
Okay.
TFS online.
Uh-huh.
So usually when we install TFS, we will configure everything, right? You can do the configuration like the reporting, analysis, SharePoint, everything. So when it comes to TFS online, it has nothing to do with reporting. Am I right on that?
Yeah.
Related to the
Yes,
reporting services, analysis, nothing is configured there, right?
that's right. That's right. Let me show you. For example, you just can't write. You just get your normal Hotmail account and go to visualstudio.com, and from there you can just set up for your Hotmail account a Visual Studio Online account. You will have a maximum of 5 users that you can set up for this specific project. But there is no limit in the number of projects. There is no limitation at all. So you can do everything you want totally for free, just for test. So look, this is the Visual Studio Online. When you access here, you have the list of all your collections and projects. You have your users, rooms, and one new thing called load test. Okay. So let me, for example, access to Karin Toys. That is one of the projects I have. And the same, you will have access to your code. You will have access to the work. Here you have the product backlog and iteration backlog. You have the build automation. You have the test. And the same, you have the sprints, the pinned items, the members of the team. You have everything from here, even the schedule iterations and work areas. It's going to be exactly the same. But now you don't have, for example, the Team Foundation Server Administration console. You cannot access to this server through the TFS console admin. So this is managed directly from Microsoft side. So here, for example, if I open my TFS admin on my local machine, here you can modify the application title, you can play with the server, you can create even the collections, the schedule, the backups, everything. Now on the Visual Studio Online, everything is managed by the Microsoft Azure IT infrastructure.
Okay.
So you only have to come here, create your projects, add the members of your team, and that's all. There is no implementation at all. There is no TFS deployment. The TFS is already deployed on the cloud, so you only have to do that.
So nothing is there, right? The case of reporting or analysis, nothing is
Nothing.
gone, right?
Reporting analysis services right now are not available on Visual Studio Online. The only thing that right now
Okay.
you have access, let me show you again, is the test. You have like a small MTM included. So on the testing side, you will have you will be able to create test plans, and you will be able also to run test cases with the test runner. That's all.
Okay.
But nothing else so far. As you can see, this is not the full MTM console. Okay. And nothing on the reporting but the main screen. So for example, here you can see I have a functional test that failed already. I can run this test using a client that it will be open MTM, or will run the test just through the test runner tool that is on the web. But this is a very, very basic one. It's a very basic one.
Okay.
And so it's not a complete solution. Yes, let me show you if I think something is going on with the server. It's not creating the projects right now. Because this is a virtual machine, I'm probably updating the server, because I just usually just refresh the virtual machine. Like every time I install it, it's refreshing something on the background. But you got the point, right? So when you create a team project,
Yes.
just the most important is to choose the template and to choose the members of the team. And once this is done, everything can be managed directly from the website. The other way to manage this team project is not only from the website, but from the Team Explorer on Visual Studio, or from the Team Explorer everywhere that is available only for Eclipse, only available for Eclipse for Java projects. And the other way to do it in other IDEs is to using, let me show you, one tool called MSSCCI. Okay, so this is a provider to access to the Team Foundation server 2012, and 2013. And this is just enabling some IDEs, not all of them, it's only on some IDEs, the possibility to access to the TFS capabilities like project management, requirement management, source code management, and build automation. Okay, so any other questions you want me to answer you before we wrap up the session?
I'm good, Ed.
Okay, that's fine. Just for a first
Shiv,
session.
I'm not sure.
Anytime you can contact me anyways. This session is only about project management, how to create a project, how to track the project, how to access to the different iterations of the project from different members of the team, how to access as well from Visual Studio, and how to have access to the security, the templates, and other settings in the project. Okay, the next sessions we will see how to manage requirements, how to manage the version control manager. That is one important tool that is mandatory basically for every single team. Usually every team that they ask to have a TFS deployment is because they want version control management. So for me it's one of the best pieces to install or to manage in the Team Foundation server. And we will have the last one on the testing management and reporting. Okay, so
Okay.
I'm gonna be just let me just